Okay, so this is my video documenting where I find Swiss design around me in the world. I've broken this video up into two parts. The first 10 things that I need to showcase are going to be stuff that I can physically find around my house and in my life. And then the next 10 things will be stuff that I've found around me more on the internet. So let's get started, I guess. The first thing I found that I thought represented Swiss design really well was this. Let me get a good angle on it here. This makeup palette. The cover, I mean, most makeup palettes usually get really like flowy and shiny and very decorative, but this is very reminiscent of Swiss design, where you've got a lot of empty space. Then you're letting the bold typography and color do most of the work, and it's pretty simple but effective. Makes you feel like it's very professional. This is specifically a palette from Morphe. And then, you know, the inside is kind of a mess because I use it every day, but it's gridded out, it's very simple, and it uses pretty simple colors. So I thought that that was a pretty good example for number one. For number two, this is the soap bottle I found at my house. It's a better view of it. And it's not exactly got the same amount of white space as I would like, but what really caught my eye is the antibacterial hand soap text, because I feel like that is very Swiss, the classic sans serif, and then the black and white and the very big space between the letters is very reminiscent of Swiss design. So that's why I picked that. Next thing I picked was this tub of Aquaphor. I noticed that a lot of the stuff that I can find that reminds me of Swiss design in my house is very catered towards medicine. I feel like this is very reminiscent of Swiss design. Again, it's got that a ton of white space, and it's got really bold sans serif typography. It is a little busy, but I think that's just for getting a lot of information across, but I think it's still very reminiscent of Swiss design. You can see where that influence is in the way that there's that classic sans serif, lots of white space, and a little bit of gridding of the text. So there's that one. Next one I found is this bottle of hairspray. It's by this brand called Tresemme. I don't even know how to say that, it's French. But it's got a ton of space around everything, and then it's got just this nice bold sans serif with maybe some supportive fonts, and then the logo up at the top. Again, it's very boxed out, it's very sans serif. And then you've got this, like, all the text down here is right aligned, and it's got a certain amount of hierarchy to it. But again, there's not a lot of imagery. You're letting the text do most of the talking. It's very minimalist, and it's not very decorative. It's very, function follows form. That's what I was looking for. The next one I have is this old thing of Parmesan cheese that I found in the fridge. Ignore the Kraft logo at the top, but I think just the regular sans serif type with the box and then it's reversed is something they do a lot in Swiss design, where you've got like the text on one color and then another thing of text reversed on the same color in the design. And that's what reminded me of Swiss design in this, is the way that they are using the text, and again, how they're putting a lot of space between the letters of this text. Then I found this. This is granola I found in my pantry. It's called Nature's Path. I think for this one, it reminds me of Swiss design because they're using a really bold sans serif font. They're putting a lot of space in between those letters, and then they're also using some really high definition photography, which is something you find a lot in Swiss design. When they are using imagery, they're using really big and high definition photography instead of using like a more classically illustrated look. that. Then this is my favorite piece that I'm going to show you tonight. I found this. This is a vintage poster that I found in Seattle. And it is a poster for a ship. Well, it was meant to advertise for people to get on the ship. I think this is the best example of Swiss design that I could find, honestly. It's got these boxes in the illustration where it's been gridded out and it's very clean, it's very sharp. Obviously, the illustration is still very interesting, but it's keeping it minimalistic and it's making the text the main source of not only information, but of interest in the design. And I just love it. This is one of my favorite things that I have in my house. It's a great poster. So there's that. Then I found this thing of yogurt. And I like this because, again, you're using that really realistic photography, and then you've got like a sharp serif font. It is a little more decorative than I might like for an example of Swiss design. I think the top might be a better example, but I think it still fits the bill pretty well. And you can see at least where the inspiration from the Swiss design is in this as well. Then I also have, this is a bigger, zoom out here. This is a bag that a friend of mine gave me, and I think this is a great example of Swiss design. Again, you've got a nice bold sans serif. The text is doing all the talking. There is literally like no imagery, but you have like a texture in the background that's still making the design interesting, but it's not overworked. And again, form is following function. Yeah, there's a texture to the text, but it's still mostly very minimal. Okay, then the last thing of my physical items is this thing of pasta. Again, kind of ignoring the bold Barilla logo at the top. I wanted to kind of focus more down here on the Centel. Again, that's Italian, I don't know how to say that, but the text is speaking for itself. There's a lot of space between the text, and then the only imagery that we really have is this really high definition picture of this pasta, and then a lot of space around everything, and I just feel like that's very reminiscent of Swiss design, and most of that is kind of the